$100,000. To a lot of people, this is a lot of money, especially when you look at the statistics. You look at the facts, and the average person starts investing at age 29 years old into a 401k. Only 26% of people start investing before the age of 25. People between the age of 20 and 29 have an average of $15,000 saved and invested. Those between the ages of 30 to 39 have approximately $50,000 saved and invested, and those between the ages of 40 and 49 have a little over $120,000 saved and invested. When you look at all these numbers, it's very easy to understand why to a lot of people $100,000 is a lot of money. And while I don't think $100,000 is a small amount of money in the grand scheme of things by any stretch of the imagination, I also thought when I crossed this threshold, I would feel a lot more sense of satisfaction, I guess you could say. And to be perfectly honest, I was a little hesitant to make this video because I don't want anyone to think I'm flexing on them or bragging or anything along those lines, because I'm really not at all. And in the grand scheme of things, $100,000 isn't any sort of unheard amount of money. There's plenty of people out there, especially if you look at the statistics, that make over $100,000 a year. So really, it's nothing to write home about. But at the same time, I really wanted to make this video to really show everyone out there that with a long-term vision and a long-term plan, then you can really accomplish any goal you put your mind to, especially when it pertains to a financial goal. So if you're someone out there that has maybe $50,000 saved, or $10,000 saved, or heck, $1,000 saved, I really hope this video really provides a lot of value to you so you can take that next step up in your financial goals. And if you did fit in any of those categories I just named, whether it's $50,000, $10,000, or $1,000, don't think I'm degrading you by any means, because just the fact of the matter that you're watching this video, you're already taking the step in the right direction, and that is awesome. But whatever category you guys fall into, you're going to find that once you get to $100,000, you're going to be able to see a lot greater returns, and it's going to be a lot more fulfilling, which just goes back to what I say is that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, and stuff like this is going to take time. And at the end of the day, everyone wants to be a millionaire, everyone wants to have all this money, everyone wants to travel the world, everyone wants to retire early, everyone wants to do this, they want to do that, but no one wants to put in the work. And that's what this is going to come down to. You're going to have to put in the work at the end of the day. So if you guys do get any sort of value out of this, please drop a like on the video. That really does help with the channel, and that really helps the channel grow in a massive way. Also, do not forget to subscribe if you have not already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. Now, the first step in the process that really occurred for me to get to my first $100,000 invested, and this is something that happened before I read any personal finance books, before I watched any personal finance YouTubers, before I picked up a camera, before any of these things happened at all. The first thing that I did was hustle. The first step was the hustle. Now, I'm always someone that's always been more of a saver, and I've always been someone that's been more of a hustler, which are two qualities that I feel like are very important, especially when you are first starting out. Now, when I was 13 years old or so, I started reffing soccer games. And to some of you guys out there who are maybe not familiar with how well these games pay, you might be thinking, oh, well, anyone can do that. That's not that big of a deal. Big deal, you ref soccer games, you run up and down the field for an hour. Well, first of all, it actually pays very well, believe it or not. There were some games that I would do where I would receive $100 for one game. So $100 an hour, that's a pretty good, I would say, value for your time, especially when you're 13 years old, you know what I mean? That is a lot of money, in my personal opinion. I'm sure there's some people out there that would like to do that today. But that's the first thing that got me off the ground when I was really young. I really knew I wanted to work and make money even when I was in middle school. I really wanted to put in the work, I really wanted to make money, I really wanted to grow, at the time, my savings, because when I was 13 years old, I didn't know what investing was. I didn't understand the importance of it. This is back when I thought the stock market was gambling, which if you are 13 years old and you're watching this, if you start investing now, you're literally gonna be a millionaire by the time you're 30. Like, so if you are 13 years old watching this, kudos to you. That's all I have to say about that. But this is where I really started to, I guess, get off the ground and really grow my savings. And it really was a good value for my time, like I said earlier, because I could do one game for $100, while maybe one of my friends working a job that paid $8 an hour, they would have to work over 10 hours to get the same exact rate. So I had time to do other things. And Looking back, I really wish I had spent more time researching different investing philosophies, because I would be very, very wealthy right now if I started doing it when I was that young. But it is what it is. If you're 13 years old watching this right now, kudos to you. That is awesome. I'm super happy that you're watching this, and I really hope that you start investing very young and make millions and millions of dollars. But I was always picking up as many games as I possibly could. When I was younger, like 13, 14, I was mainly just doing competitive soccer or maybe rec soccer on the weekends. And then as I got a little bit older, I started doing more of the middle school and high school games once I got into high school and I was able to drive myself. And this just ended up piling. And I'm not sure exactly how much I had by the time I graduated high school, but I think I had more than what most high schoolers had when they graduated. That I can say. I'm pretty sure it was well over 5 figures. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I did have a good amount of money when I graduated high school, and I feel like I set myself up pretty well for, I guess, the coming years. Then as I graduated high school, I did get my first job, I guess you can say, a job that I actually had to clock in and out of. It wasn't a job where it was, say, be at the field for 9 a.m. But I was still had that hustle mentality where it's like, I need to work as many hours as I possibly can. I need to pick up as many shifts as I possibly can. And it was more of a challenge, and it was more, I guess, fun for me in a way, in regards to really growing my savings. Like, for example, say I had $1,000 in my savings. I was like, I really want to get to $1,100 in my savings. I really want to get to $1,200 in my savings. I really want to get to $2,000 in my savings. It was always a game for me like that. And because I was always working so much, it was very hard for me to spend money, because obviously when you're, a teenage kid, 18, 19 years old, you're not gonna have a 9-to-5 job most of the time. You're gonna be working strange hours, you're working weekends, you're working all these different days. So it was very easy for me not to spend money at all. Fast forward a couple of years and I got a job at URI. And this was the first job that I really got that I felt I could live off of myself and really support myself if need be, assuming everything went wrong. And it was a really good feeling. I felt very good about what I was doing. I felt awesome that at 19 years old I could really support myself if need be. I didn't want to do that at 19 years old, but I felt like if worst case scenario and push came to shove, I could do that and I could support myself, which was a really, really good feeling. And it was also a really good feeling because most 19-year-olds, they were not making the amount of money I was making. A lot of 19-year-olds, they're maybe working at Subway or Dunkin' Donuts, then there's nothing wrong with that at all. I was working at a Subway when I was 18 and 19 years old, as well as URI, which goes back to, I guess, my hustle nature that I talked about earlier in the video. But the point is that it was a really good feeling, and I wasn't making $8 or $9 an hour like most 19-year-olds are. I was making a lot more than that, and I was able to continue to really, really grow my wealth through this job. And I really feel like, looking back, if I did not get this job at URI, if I didn't take it, because there was some reason I think I was considering not taking it. I don't remember what the reason was. This was so long ago. But I really think if I did not take this job, my life would be very, very different today, and definitely not for the better, because working at this job and going in there at 19 years old, I was significantly the youngest person that worked there. Like, it wasn't even close. And by working there, I learned a lot about life. I learned a lot about, retirement accounts. I did, because some people that worked there did, I guess, pitch that to me. That was not when I started to take it up and really get serious about investing, but I guess that planted the initial seed in my head, you could say. And I just learned so much from all these people, and I think that really shaped me into who I am today. But anyway, a couple years in at URI, I think I was either a senior at URI or maybe I was in grad school by this point. I can't remember exactly where I was when I started doing this, because this was a few years back. But I started to work really, really long days at URI. And this was more like 6 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night. And I wasn't scheduled for this. I volunteered for this. It was overtime. I did it to myself, essentially, because I wanted the money. Like I said, it was a challenge for me to get to that next number in that bank account. I wanted to go from 1,000 to 2,000 or whatever it was at the time. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I really wanted that next dollar, and I really treated every single dollar with love. And some people might say, does it really matter? Is it worth putting your body through that? I think it was, to be perfectly honest, because that just gave me that next leg up and it gave me an advantage, I guess you can say, in life. And it's a mentality that I still have to this day. Were there days I regretted it? Absolutely. Did I regret it once I got my paycheck? Not so much. But why am I telling you guys this? What is the significance of me working these 16-hour days several times a week? Why does that matter by any stretch of the imagination? Well, obviously you guys probably have heard this fact before, but there's 24 hours in a day, right? And I was working 16 hours in a day, right? So that leaves me 8 hours left in my day. So the question is, how do I make more money when I'm already working 16 hours in a day? Because time multiplied by hourly wage equals paycheck. But you obviously can't just work 24 hours in a day. It's not realistic by any stretch of the imagination. Some people are like, well, Josh, I can just grind 24/7. Shut up, okay? Shut up, Jimmy. That is not applicable in this situation. You're just gonna burn yourself out, and over the long term, you're probably gonna end up losing more money than you're gonna be making because you're just gonna be so fried you don't want to do anything at all. And I started to think about this, and at the time, and there's nothing wrong with this, but at the time my income was 100% active, which means that I had to be working at a job in order to receive that income. I had no passive income coming in. I wasn't making any money while I was sleeping. That's the fact of the matter. So I really thought about this, and I thought I can't make any more money working because one, I was gonna just burn myself out eventually. Obviously, working multiple 16-hour days can be a lot for I don't care who you are. And I know some people, like I just said, can grind 24/7. That's awesome, good for you. I am not like that. I can only grind so much. I grind more than most people, I would say, but I'm not a 24/7 type of person, if you know what I mean. So I started thinking, and I'm like, I can't work any more hours because it's just, you know, your eyes not open. I can't work there any more than I'm already working. Like, it's not mathematically possible. So I really thought about what I was going to do in order to bring in more money without necessarily working more. And this really brought me to step 2, which is, you need to get a different marker here, building the foundation. And this all started, I was out to eat with a friend. And this is one of my friends who I've never mentioned his name on the channel, but I've mentioned him before. And it's one of my friends that I'm very open with about money. Like, we talk very, very open about it. And I think this is very important to have a couple people in your lives that you're very open about money with, because I think it's gonna teach you how to manage money better. I think you're gonna learn a lot of things that maybe you didn't know at first. I think it's important. That's just my personal opinion. But if you want to treat it as a taboo topic and you want to just keep that all your numbers to yourself, hey, that's good for you as well. Perfect. But we were out to eat and we were talking about money like we normally were. And he brought up the idea to me about a high yield savings account. And he's like, if you put your money in here, you can earn, I don't even remember what it was at the time. It might have been 3% on your money, like annually. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, the banks that you have, like Citizens, Webster, whatever bank that's out there, they pay you, 0.0001% interest or whatever the number is. And he's like, if you just move your money into this, then you're gonna make instantly 3%. It's like completely easy. And I was like, really? That's very interesting. I can move my money out of the bank I have now and put it in a different bank, still FDIC insured, so it's nothing to worry about. It's not like that money is gonna disappear into thin air or anything. And I'm like, I can make more money by just doing that. And after really getting this idea from my friend, I was completely hooked on this idea of just making money while doing nothing, basically, or making money more so passively than actively. After this, I also had a different friend who, he was the one that really started to push me towards the stock market. And he was always posting profits on Instagram. I really hope to have him on the podcast very, very soon. But he was always posting profits on Instagram. He was posting different stocks he was looking into on Instagram. And I didn't necessarily, up until this point, understand what he was doing, because up until this point, I was under the impression the stock market was gambling. I thought if you were putting money into the stock market, you were better off going down to Foxwoods and just putting it all down on the roulette table, because I really thought it was gambling. And my first initial, I guess, trial run with the stock market proved that correct, I guess you could say. There could be gambling in the stock market if you don't know what you're doing and you aren't willing to put in the work, which at the time, I really was not, to be perfectly honest. So the issue here is that he was more, and I don't want to say this is an issue, I guess, per se, so I take that back, but he was more going down the day trading path. And that's what I tried to do, because at the time I thought long-term investing was bogus, and that's kind of funny now because that's all I practice and preach is, you know, fundamentals, focus on the long term, don't worry about what happened in the short term, I heart volatility, all those things. But I wanted to day trade. I was like, I don't want to hold stocks long term. I just want to get in and out and make quick money. I want to be a millionaire tomorrow, you know, like everyone else does these days. So that's what I started to do, and I learned very quickly that it's a lot harder than it seems to make consistent profits day trading. And I did not like it. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and I ultimately stopped doing it. Now, I will say to any trader out there, I will say that I don't think I gave it the best effort. I read books on day trading, I researched day trading, I did do this, I guess I didn't do enough work, but I did put in like enough to really set a foundation and start that baseline. But I don't think I put in enough work where I could have really been successful doing it. And I think if I started trading today, like say I left my job and I just said I want to day trade full time, I think the mindset I have now and I guess the willingness to put in the work is a lot greater than it was several years ago. So I think I would definitely be able to grasp the idea of trading a lot better, and I think I would be a successful trader today because I would just trust the process a lot more than I did back then. Anyway, started trading and just about everything went wrong. I had FOMO, I was focused too much on what others were doing, I was just trying to copy other people, I was worried too much about other people's opinions. I think I ended my day trading career with around maybe like a $1,500 loss or so. So it wasn't, I guess, an astronomical amount of money, but at the time it didn't really sit with me too well that I had lost $1,500. But sometimes you gotta learn your lesson, you know what I mean? I definitely learned my lesson and it's definitely paid dividends today. But after doing that, I really decided, you know what, stock market's gambling. It's just not for me. I don't think investing is a good idea. I'm just going to leave my money in a savings account and it'll all work out eventually. Everything will take care of itself, which is a mindset a lot of people have. Fast forward a little bit here. I started talking to the first friend, the one that really talked to me about the APY and the high yield savings account. And he started talking to me about this thing called a Roth IRA. And he started talking to me about how if I just put X number in there, I don't remember exactly what the number was, but he was like, if you put this much in there and you keep doing that for so many years, then you'll have $2 million by the time you retire. And I was just like, wow, really? Instantly hooked again, instantly. Skeptical? Yes, but hooked again. But this time I did something very, very, very different. And I put in the work and I was willing to put in the work. And this wasn't the equivalent to me just reading one article on CNN and thinking I know everything. No, I really dug deep into this. I started reading everything stock market related I could. I started reading a ton of great books, some of which I mentioned on the channel before, like I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Mind, Money, Master the Game, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Little Book of Common Sense Investing, and many, many more. If you guys saw the stack of personal finance books I have and I've read or listened to, you guys would honestly probably want to throw up because I put so much time and effort into this craft. And I'm sure there's someone out there watching this video who's probably stuck on my previous point of me losing about $1,500 or so. They might be saying, how did you ever have the audacity to go back into the stock market after losing $1,500? Because that's a lot of money. How did you really get back into it? Why did you decide to gamble more money away, even though I'm not gambling money anymore, I'm investing money? And that's what it ultimately came down to. I was able to differentiate between gambling in the stock market and investing in the stock market because it's a very distinct difference. Gambling is what I was doing at first. I was just throwing money in these trades. I didn't really have a plan. I was just throwing money around and just hoping I made a profit. That is gambling. If you're doing that, that's gambling. If you're just throwing money into, say, AMC or Dogecoin or any of these things and you don't have a high conviction, you haven't done the research, you haven't put in the work, That is gambling. What I'm doing now is more investing, researching companies, putting in the work, projecting revenue numbers, projecting the bottom line. That is investing. I also had a little bit of, I guess, a mindset shift when it comes around money in savings accounts, because to the majority of people out there, or a lot of people, I feel like the stock market is gambling. And like I've said earlier in the video, I was under this mindset as well. But when you really look into depth, when you put money in a savings account, say you have $1,000 and you put that into a savings account and you just leave it there is a 100% chance that you are going to lose money. 100%. It's not debatable. It's factual. You will lose money if you leave that $1,000 there. You will. You can look it up yourself. Go ahead and Google it. Pause the video, go Google it. You will lose money. But you invest that money. It doesn't have to be the stock market. It can be real estate, or it can be something else. Say you invest that $1,000. Hopefully this is not your last $1,000 you're investing, but say you invest that $1,000 that you were initially going to park into a savings account. If you do your full research and you make an investment and you're not gambling, that $1,000, there is a very good chance that you're going to make money and turn that money into more money. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving financial advice, but I feel like this is the mindset that you have to have, and it's a very important mindset to have, because this mindset changed my life for the better, and I really think that it can change yours as well if you're willing to put in the work. Now, step 3. After I really started to educate myself in the stock market, I really became aware of compound interest and what it was. I started to surround myself with a community of people to really tie up any loose ends or any questions that I might have had. For example, you saw my friend Nick on the podcast on the first episode. You're gonna see my friend Evan on this next week's episode. So Wednesday you will be seeing him, 9 a.m. Go check it out. But all these people, and then obviously my friend who talked to me about the high yield savings account, and my friend who was the day trader, all these people really paved a way, paved a pathway, and really showed me the path to become successful, not only in the stock market, but as an investor, because I was able to really grow my human capital by just talking to them about the stock market, talking to them about investing, really just putting things in perspective, and things little by little started to click. Because I think people look at me and they just think, oh, he just got lucky. Like he just knows what to do. He knows how to invest money. And it wasn't always like that. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. And things started to click little by little. This started to click, that started to click, this started to click too. Then I started watching financial YouTubes. I started watching Graham, I started watching Jeremy, I started watching Meet Kevin a little bit, and I really started to learn how to become wealthy, and how even if you're just a very average Joe making, I don't know, $35,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, you can still become, you know, a multi-millionaire just by making smart investments over the years. And before you knew it, I looked up and it was years down the line, and I just had an abundance of knowledge pertaining to finance in my head. And it was mind-boggling and really insane in a way. And I look back and I was just like, did I really used to do those things with my money? Like that was not the best idea at all. But what happened was I just became financially literate. At the end of the day, there's nothing else to it. I just became financially literate from putting in years of work, years of reading books, years of watching YouTube videos, years of just research. And sometimes I think about this and I say, what if I didn't put in that work? What if I didn't become financially literate? And there's nothing wrong if you're watching this video and you're not financially literate, like nothing at all, absolutely nothing. But I look back to where I was then and where I am today, and I think if I did not take that time and I did not put in that work, I would not be where I am today, and I would be much, much further behind, to be perfectly honest. And again, there's nothing wrong with not being financially literate. And I'm not giving anyone financial advice out there watching this, but I truly think if you want to get to where you want to be in life, you have to be financially literate to some degree. You have to be. And it's really going to change your life. Whether you want to admit it or not right now, go spend 2 to 3 years researching different investments, researching, the stock market, real estate market, taxes, just spend a couple of years researching these things. Come back and talk to me in 2 or 3 years and tell me how your mindset has shifted, how your mindset has changed, and how your life has changed, and how you project your life to change in the future. Then the last step and the most important step on this list, or I don't even want to say the most important step, but because all of these are important, but something I think people can do these 3 steps, right? You can hustle, because I know tons of people that love to work. Tons of people love to work, 10-hour days. They love to work a month straight. They don't like to take days off. That's awesome. Good for you. That's actually awesome, because sometimes people get stuck on this. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to work a second job. They don't want to start a side hustle. So if you're already working multiple jobs, good for you. You are already ahead of the curve, and that can move you to step 2. Now you got to find time to build the foundation, okay? That's the second step. If you're working, 10, 12, 13-hour days, you gotta find more time to build the foundation. And sometimes you might have to make tough decisions. Sometimes you really are going to have to make tough decisions in life. I had to make a tough decision to leave one of my jobs for a lot of reasons, but I also thought in the long run, even though in the short term it was going to definitely, hinder and decrease the amount of money I was bringing in, I thought over the long term, it could really make me more money, and it seems to be working out pretty well, but we'll see how that plays out in the coming years. The community, that can be tough. That can be tough. If you're having a tough time with the community, I'd recommend maybe trying to join a Discord chat, maybe see if there's any Facebook groups out there that are accepting members that you could join, maybe something, I don't know, on Instagram, or I'm not sure. There's tons of communities out there you can join. Not all of them are free, unfortunately, but I really strongly encourage, especially if you're a beginner, to really try to find a group of people that you can ask these questions to, that you can surround yourself with, because it's going to make a difference. I can promise you that. And even me personally, I'm really trying to surround myself with more people with similar minded goals, especially in this day and age. But anyway, sorry about that rant. Back on topic here. One of the most important steps is to trust the process. It's as simple as that. Everyone wants to be a millionaire tomorrow, including me when I tried day trading the first time. I didn't want to put in the external, research where you could say to really be a successful trader. I didn't want to learn these patterns. I didn't want to do all these different things. I didn't want to continue to research and continue to map out charts. I just wanted to make money fast and make enough to quit my job and basically just sit and do absolutely nothing all day. I just wanted to work a couple of hours, make a couple grand, and then chill. And that's not realistic, because if you know anything about life, the more that you put into something, the more that you are going to get out of it at the end of the day. But no one wants to stick to a plan, stick to an investing strategy, and get rich slowly. No one wants to look and say, okay, if I keep doing this and I maintain this sustainable investing strategy for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I will have X amount of money, or best case scenario, or I'll have X amount of money, worst case scenario. No one wants to stick to that plan. They want to find the next AMC, the next Dogecoin, and the next GameStop, and they just want to be rich overnight. Now, to touch upon that, let's say that you got lucky with AMC, Dogecoin, GameStop. Do you think that's a sustainable investing strategy? Do you? Do you think it is sustainable to maybe find a stock or any sort of investment, any place to park your money, where you're going to 10x your money in, I don't know, a matter of a couple of days? If you answered yes to that question, I think you have a little bit more research to do on the markets, on different investments, personally. But to each its own. But one thing I learned from trading and really having the short-term mindset, and it's something that I always carry with me, and it's something I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life, and it's a very important lesson when investing, and that is to protect your capital. Now, what do I mean by this? It means you need to be putting your money, in my opinion, in the best places possible. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say you have $10,000 you're investing and you put that all into AMC stock, okay? So you buy $10,000 worth of AMC stock at $60, let's say, and that goes down to $30. Well, that $10,000 just became $5,000. So now you have $5,000 you're investing with. Well, you need a 100% return just to get back to your starting point. Now, so some people out there, you might think $10,000, like what's the big deal? It's $5,000 and maybe that's just like toy money to you. But let's say you did that with a lot more money to really put things into perspective. Let's say you did that with $1 million. You went from $1 million to 500,000, or maybe 2 million to 1 million, or maybe even bigger numbers than that. That's a lot of money when you take a 50% loss, because that can take, you can set yourself back over a year by doing something like that. And this is why I talk so much about risk reward. And people don't want to talk about the risk here. People just want to talk about the reward. They just want to see the upside. They don't want to see the risk that comes with buying the stock or putting money in this place or investing in this. They just want to hear about the reward. This stock has 10x upside, but it also has 80% downside. No one wants to hear that. And this is why it's so important to put your money in the best places possible, risk adjusted. Because if you do that, you're going to find out that you can make a lot of money. And it pays to be picky in situations like this, because if you're not picky and you really are just throwing money around and you're a little ignorant, maybe you're not making the best investing decisions, you're maybe listening to someone else, or you're just throwing money wherever you possibly can and just hoping it goes full Dogecoin mode or whatever the case may be, it's gonna be dangerous. I can promise you guys that, and it's not going to be sustainable in a healthy way. And sometimes it can be tough and it can be easy to get a little complacent, I guess you can say, especially when you have a friend who's like, oh, I made 100 grand off Dogecoin, in 30 minutes, or maybe I made, 200 grand off of AMC in, a week or two. It can be hard and it can be very easy to, I guess, kind of get caught up in all the BS and really just want to start throwing money around and just trying to get rich quick. But I promise you guys, like I just said, that's really not sustainable over the long term. But if you know your strategy, you have the right mindset, you're patient, slow and steady does win the race. And it's gonna be really hard for you, if you check all these boxes, to not be very wealthy over the long term. That's really the 4 basic steps how I was able to invest my first 100 grand without making any sort of crazy money. If you guys are wondering how much I really make and bring in from my job, I'm not gonna disclose that right now. I will do that in a future video once I get out of this position, but I am going to disclose that and even break this down even more for you guys to put it into even more of a perspective of how possible this is. But I don't make any crazy money, let's put it that way. It's nothing that you watching this video cannot do. And I think when I really start to break down these numbers, you guys are gonna be even more blown away and really understand how anything financially is possible. I can promise you guys that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. I know this is more of a personal story. I know we had some rants in there, but I had a lot of fun making this video, and I really think to anyone out there that maybe has a low income, or maybe that's took a $1,500 loss day trading, or thinks the stock market is gambling, I think it's gonna provide a good amount of value to, and hopefully a potato like me can influence someone like you. Without giving financial advice, that is, but if you guys did get some value out of it, please drop a like on the video. That really helps with the channel. It really does help the channel grow massively, more than you guys can even imagine. Also, remember to subscribe if you haven't already and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. Thanks again so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.